Marcus Blackwell's $1,000 shoes clicked against the factory floor as he raised a megaphone to his lips. The CEO of Blackwell Manufacturing hated coming down here. The noise, the grease, the desperate faces of workers who depended on him. But today was special. Today he had a point to prove. Gather around. His voice silenced 300 workers mid-shift. Among them was Daniel Carter, 38 calloused hands, tired eyes. The man suing Marcus for $200,000 over a workplace injury. Mr. Carter, "Come up here," Marcus commanded. Daniel's jaw tightened as he approached through the crowd. "This man thinks he deserves more," Marcus announced. "He's suing because he claims we don't care about worker safety. He broke his back and blames me because you refused to replace faulty equipment," Daniel said quietly but firmly. "I have 3 herniated discs," Marcus laughed, cold and calculated. "You think my job is easy? That I just count money while you do real work?" He stepped closer. "And so here's my proposal. A swap, 30 days. I'll work your job, live your life, survive on your salary. You take my position, my office, my responsibilities, everything." The factory went silent. "If you prove my job isn't harder," Marcus continued, "I'll write you a check for $500,000 and resign. But when you fail, you drop the lawsuit and apologize for wasting everyone's time." Daniel thought of his kids, Emma, 14, and Jake, 9. $500,000 could change everything. And if you fail in my world, Daniel challenged. Marcus grinned like a shark. "I'll triple your lawsuit. 600,000. Daniel extended his hand. "You've got a deal." As cameras captured the moment for social media, Marcus squeezed hard enough to hurt. He was already planning Daniel's humiliation. What Marcus didn't know was that Daniel Carter wasn't just a factory worker. And in 30 days, everything Marcus had built would collapse. Day 1, Marcus woke at 4:30 a.m. in Daniel's cramped bedroom, his back aching from the cheap mattress. Sarah Carter barely spoke as she packed lunches in the kitchen, while Emma and Jake watched with suspicious eyes. "You need to leave in 20 minutes for the bus," Sarah said without looking at him. Marcus stared at the ancient coffee maker, genuinely confused. "Where's the coffee?" "You've never made coffee," Sarah observed with bitter satisfaction. "Figure it out." The bus ride was humiliating, public transportation smelling of fast food and desperation. At the factory, foreman Rick handed Marcus gloves. Line 7, metal stamping. 12-hour shift. 2 breaks. By hour 3, Marcus's feet screamed. His back throbbed. The repetitive motion became torture. When lunch finally came, he collapsed outside, hands shaking, eating the terrible sandwich Sarah had packed. This was Daniel's life. Every single day. Meanwhile, Daniel sat in Marcus's corner office, surrounded by floor-to-ceiling windows. Patricia, the assistant, delivered his schedule. Board meeting, investor lunch, safety committee review, earnings call, legal briefings. 17 active lawsuits. Patricia said crisply. Mostly workplace injuries. Daniel's lawsuit was one of 17. Just another number. But what Marcus didn't know was that Daniel Carter had a degree in industrial engineering from Texas A&M. He'd graduated with honors before family tragedy forced him into factory work. Now, in Marcus's chair, Daniel opened company files with practiced efficiency. Within hours, he found it. Safety reports falsified for years. Equipment marked operational that should have been replaced. Accident reports buried. OSHA violations concealed. Marcus Blackwell didn't just ignore safety, he actively covered it up. Daniel's hands trembled as he printed evidence. This wasn't just negligence. This was criminal. He texted his friend Michael Chen, an investigative journalist. "I found something. Something that could destroy him." Day 3, Marcus limped through Daniel's door, every muscle screaming. At dinner, 9-year-old Jake asked, "Are you learning anything?" "I'm learning your father is stronger than I ever gave him credit for," Marcus admitted. 14-year-old Emma challenged him. "So will you change things? Or forget about us when this is over?" Marcus didn't have an answer. That night, Daniel cracked Marcus's encrypted files. Password was his own birthday, the arrogant fool. Inside, emails proving Marcus knew about every violation, every injury, every risk. He chose profit over lives. Daniel called Michael. "I've got the story of the year." Day 7, Sarah forced Marcus to attend Jake's Little League game. Danny never missed one, even working doubles with a broken back. Marcus sat on hard bleachers, exhausted. Jake struck out twice, then connected, crack of bat on ball. The boy ran to first base safe. Marcus stood, clapping, genuinely smiling for the first time in a week. After the game, Jake ran over. "Did you see my hit?" "You were great," Marcus said, and Jake hugged him instinctively before remembering this wasn't his real father. Something tightened in Marcus's chest. When was the last time someone hugged him just from happiness? "Danny works himself to death for those kids," Sarah said quietly, "and you pay him barely enough for rent and groceries. I hope you're learning something." Day 10, Daniel met Michael at the Dallas Morning News, with documents spread between them. "This is explosive," Michael said. "Blackwell could face criminal charges. 23 preventable injuries in 18 months, Daniel replied. 3 workers permanently disabled, all for quarterly profits. This could take weeks to verify, Michael warned. "And once we publish, Marcus will destroy you." "Let him try," Daniel said. But he knew a darker truth. Exposing Marcus wouldn't just destroy him, it would bankrupt the company. 3,000 workers, including Daniel himself, would lose everything. Day 12, Marcus was learning names. Tommy supported his mother with Alzheimer's. Rosa sent money to 3 kids in El Salvador she hadn't seen in 4 years. James was a veteran with PTSD. These weren't just workers. They were people with stories he'd never bothered to learn. During lunch, Tommy sat beside him. "You're not what I expected. I thought you'd quit by day 3. "I made a bet," Marcus said. "Nah, this stopped being about the bet around day 5. "You're actually learning something." Tommy smiled. "Whatever Daniel's planning up there, I hope you're ready." Marcus's unease grew. What had Daniel found? Day 16, Daniel stood before the board of directors, surrounded by 12 skeptical faces. "Mr. Carter, perhaps your expertise is better suited to the factory floor," Richard Sutherland said condescendingly. Daniel connected his tablet to the screen. "I don't think the board has seen these documents." Falsified safety reports appeared. The smirks faded. For 4 years, Blackwell Manufacturing has concealed injuries, falsified OSHA reports, and delayed critical maintenance. He clicked to an email chain. "This is Marcus explicitly ordering someone to massage the numbers. That person was fired." Another document. "A safety inspector recommended replacing Line 7 equipment. Cost $300,000. Marcus rejected it. 6 months later, it malfunctioned. A worker lost 3 fingers. This same machine destroyed my back." The room erupted. "Are you saying Marcus deliberately created unsafe conditions?" Jessica Wong asked. "I'm saying he knew and chose quarterly profits over human lives." And Daniel pulled up financials. "The company is bankrupt. 1 lawsuit, 1 investigation, and we collapse." Richard Sutherland stood furious. "This is corporate espionage." "Marcus gave me full access. It's in the contract you signed," Daniel said calmly. "I'm in contact with OSHA attorneys and journalists. The only question is whether this board wants to be complicit or part of the solution." He gathered his materials. "Marcus is learning what it's like to be a worker whose safety he traded for profit. I suggest you do the same, because when this breaks, everyone in this room will be held accountable." He left them in chaos. Day 17, that night at dinner, Sarah confronted Marcus. "Did you know that machine was dangerous?" Emma and Jake watched, waiting. Marcus wanted to lie, but he couldn't anymore. "Yes, I knew." Sarah's chair fell backward as she stood. "Get out!" "You broke my husband's back to save money." "I didn't understand. You didn't care." Sarah cried. "You saw numbers, not people." "How does it feel now?" Marcus stood, tears in his eyes. "You're right. But I can't undo it. I can only stop it from happening again. That's why I'm not fighting what Daniel's doing. He's right to expose me." "Do you mean that?" Emma asked quietly. "I swear it," Marcus said. Outside, sitting in Daniel's beat-up Honda, Marcus called Daniel directly. "I know what you're doing," Marcus said when Daniel answered. "I know you found everything, and I'm not going to stop you." "You're right about all of it." Daniel was stunned. Is this a strategy? No, this is me admitting your family deserves better. I spent 17 days in your life. I met your kids. I finally understood what my decisions cost. Understanding doesn't fix my back. Nothing can. But maybe I can make sure it never happens again. Marcus paused. I need to tell you something. The company is bankrupt. I've been hiding it for 18 months. The violations weren't just greed, they were desperation. If you expose me, 3,000 workers lose their jobs. Daniel went cold. So I destroy everyone? Unless we find another way. I have 13 days left in your world. Maybe together we figure something out. Why should I trust you? You shouldn't, but I'm asking you to try, for everyone counting on us. Daniel was quiet. Then, there's something you should know about me. I have an engineering degree from Texas A&M. I only took your factory job because my parents got sick and I was drowning in debt. You hired me because I was desperate. Marcus was speechless. I've analyzed your company, Daniel continued. I know how to save it, but it requires you to give up everything. What do you mean? The only way to save Blackwell Manufacturing is to destroy Marcus Blackwell. Day 20, they met at a diner. Daniel laid out his plan. Liquidate all Marcus's personal assets, houses, cars, everything. Money goes to safety upgrades and worker compensation. Marcus resigns. Daniel becomes CEO with a worker-led board. You want me to give up everything, Marcus said. I want you to prove you meant what you said. That you'll do whatever it takes. Marcus stared at the brutal, detailed proposal. If I do this, I lose my company, money, reputation. I'll have nothing. You'll have your integrity, maybe for the first time. Marcus thought of Jake's hug, Sarah's tears. Tommy and Rosa and James. One condition, Marcus said. You stay as CEO. You have the degree. You understand both sides. You can actually fix this. The workers won't trust. They'll trust someone who was one of them. Someone who fought for them. That's you. Marcus smiled. I'll go work line 7. Finish what I started. Daniel laughed, surprised. You're insane. Probably. But I've got 13 days to prove I can do it. They shook hands. Not as competitors, as partners. Day 25, Marcus held a press conference outside the factory in his work uniform and told the world everything. The violations, the falsified reports, the greed, all of it. I failed these workers, he said into cameras. I'm here to announce I'm making it right. He outlined Daniel's plan, asset liquidation, company restructuring, worker-led board. His resignation. Daniel Carter will become CEO. He has my complete support. Marcus looked into the camera. I know you're wondering if this is a stunt. For 25 days, I've lived Daniel's life. This is the only way I can sleep at night. Behind him stood the workers, Tommy, Rosa, James, Sarah with Emma and Jake, and Daniel Carter, in work clothes ready to lead from the floor. The story dominated headlines. But inside Blackwell Manufacturing, hope was growing. Daniel addressed workers on day 26. Every violation has been sent to OSHA. Every dangerous machine is being replaced now. We're shutting down lines 5, 7, and 9 immediately. That'll cost millions, someone called. Marcus sold 3 properties this week. That money goes to safety and compensation. Yes, we'll lose money this quarter, but we won't lose any more of you. Your safety is worth more than profit. It always should have been. The applause started slowly, then grew until everyone was standing. Sarah watched from above, crying. Emma and Jake saw their father not as a victim, but as a leader. Day 28, Marcus stood in his empty mansion surrounded by sold tags. Cars gone, art gone. Furniture liquidated. He'd kept 1-bedroom set, Daniel's Honda, and 6 months of basic living expenses. Everything else became the safety fund. His attorney quit. His friends stopped calling. The board voted unanimously for his resignation. Marcus Blackwell, who once had everything, now had almost nothing, and for the first time, he felt free. Daniel called. The liquidation covered all safety upgrades, settled 16 lawsuits, and created a medical fund. What about the 17th? Marcus asked. Mine, I'm dropping it. This isn't about revenge. It's about building something better. Marcus's voice broke. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just show up Monday. Line 7 needs an operator. Day 30, Marcus and Daniel met at the factory where it began. We made it, Marcus said to the crowd. 30 days. Did you learn anything? Tommy called. Marcus smiled. I learned I was an arrogant fool. I learned the hardest workers aren't in boardrooms. They're right here. I learned that sometimes you have to lose everything to understand what matters. He turned to Daniel. You won. You proved your job is harder. You proved I was wrong about everything. Actually, Daniel interrupted, we both won. You got humility. I got opportunity. 3,000 workers got a company that finally puts them first. They shook hands. The crowd cheered. 6 months later, Carter Blackwell Worker Cooperative was thriving. Dangerous equipment replaced. Safety protocols industry-leading. Worker satisfaction soaring. Productivity up 15%. Marcus worked line 7 5 days a week, lived in a modest apartment, coached Jake's Little League with Tommy. He'd never been happier. Daniel became the CEO the business world needed, walking the floor daily, knowing every worker by name, making decisions with people first. The media called it the swap that changed corporate America. But for Marcus and Daniel, it was simpler. 2 men who started as enemies, lived each other's lives, and discovered the distance between rich and poor. CEO and worker was shorter than anyone wanted to admit. Marcus learned wealth without compassion is hollow. Daniel learned anger without purpose destroys. Together, they discovered that understanding requires empathy, and empathy requires experience. Judge less. Understand more privilege blinds us to others. Struggles. Transformation is possible when ego dies the most valuable thing. You can give is dignity. Sometimes losing everything reveals what truly matters. This story isn't just about a CEO and worker. It's about all of us. Every day we judge. Without knowing someone's story, we protect comfort instead of extending compassion. The swap was forced by a cruel bet. But imagine if we all chose to swap perspectives, to truly listen, understand, and empathize. What kind of world could we build? If this story moved you, we share powerful emotional stories like this every day on Story Chest. Subscribe for daily stories that change perspectives. Comment, have you ever had a moment that completely changed how you saw someone? Share with someone who needs this message today. Every story has power to open minds and soften hearts. Join our community who believes stories matter. New stories daily. Real emotions. Lasting impact. Story Chest, where every story is a treasure. Remember, you never truly know someone until you've walked in their shoes. Sometimes that walk changes everything.